Well, good morning and good evening. Welcome to another Niteshift Podcast. The second one. We did it. We made it here. After all this time, after all this hard work, we made it to number 2. How do you feel?
Feels great, man.
Yeah. I will say, I'm a lot less nervous. I don't know, the first one, it was like nerves, But this one feels a lot more like it's like, okay, we know what we're doing now. We can, handle this shit. It's, very easy.
Yes. I think we
Yeah.
got the nerves, or at least I did. I got the nerves out of my system
Mm-hmm.
um, and had a chance to listen to myself for an hour and a half,
I know. I'm the
which is,
same way.
it's an experience you don't normally get.
Yeah.
I was talking to my dad about that today, actually. We were talking about the podcast. He listened to the whole thing this morning.
Really.
Yeah, which I commended him for doing. I'm like, good
I
job.
don't even think my parents listened to it. I know they would because my mom would immediately message me and probably tell me that I shouldn't have said 30 different things or something like that. If I she'd be like, "I can't believe that you brought up this completely innocuous thing." Sorry, mom, I love you. Hi, if you are listening.
You know what's funny is I expected my dad to do that and he didn't. And I was like, okay,
Really?
cool. Yeah.
Dang. Jesse's
I mean,
dad,
I talked
cool
about
guy.
being high for a lot of it. So
Yeah, well, whatever.
I expected it.
It's cool now. It's
Hmm.
cool. You hear
It's
that, kids?
cool.
It's cool. Take it back. I take it
um,
back.
oh my God. One thing that we were talking about though on that subject it was super interesting and something I realized from hearing myself for an hour and a half is it's pretty insightful.
Dude, I know. Yeah, there's you get to do so much fucking introspection too because it's the one thing that I wanted to avoid it was being another fake deep podcast quotation marks where it's just talking it's like, "Hey, wow, we're here to talk about hippie shit for 25 minutes to an hour and then just leave." But and there were a couple points where I was like, "Man, I sound like an absolute idiot. I'm so dumb." But it's just you learn and then you move on. But I don't know. That's just how I looked at it.
You know what was funny about it was when I listened to it, and it's not even like there was ever a point when you had to pick a side. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was listening to this podcast, I was
Yeah.
on your side the whole time. Like I was
I don't even think I actually even argued with you on anything though.
no,
But
but like
but
every
today that changes.
yeah, probably. Especially with what we're going to talk about. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it was funny because every time I opened my mouth and I said something, I'm like, just shut up. Let the man speak.
I did the same thing. I'm like, why am I interrupting? What am I adding here? I'm just barging in to just be like, stutter away and fucking. I'm like, what are you doing? Shut up, close your mouth, you idiot. But it
I know,
it
I felt that same thing.
it's so true though that I mean it gives you an ability being able to record and then listen and then record another. It's it gives you a lot of a big opportunity to improve, which is good.
Definitely. Just like conversational skills, listening to
hmm
people, and actually engaging in a conversation. And I think the two of us and why we're doing this is because when we have conversations, I feel like we connect and really listen to each other.
hmm
Um, and I think because of the formality of like recording a podcast, I at least lost a little bit of that in the whole thing.
Yeah. So I'm just curious because do you mean your brain just kind of defaulting to I need to be entertaining right now kind of thing? Because that's where mine immediately went.
Yes. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
felt like I needed to have the next thing that I wanted to say in my head rather than just
You had
like
it queued up. Yeah.
yeah, rather than just being here and listening to you and building off like your cue. You know what I
hmm
mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
So with that all being said, I'm extremely excited for this one and the next one after that and so
Yeah.
on. because I
It's
think they're
a
just
cliche to
gonna
say, but we're gonna keep improving. I would hope
exactly.
so at least. So that's gonna be dope. Also to all the audio files listening, because I know there's some. I am so sorry for my mic. It is not good. Jesse's got like at least somewhat of a setup going on. I'm literally using a gaming headset right now, and it does not pick up like any bass at all. So just like imagine, for the sake of like realism, that I'm in like a tin can, just like at the top though, like almost escaping the tin can, about to like leave it, and that's kind of where my voice is. But
You know
yeah,
what I just thought of?
what?
That has got to be the next graphic that Lauren does for us. An
Me in a tin
alien
can?
emerging from a tin can.
Yeah, Brandon's audio setup just chilling in a tin can.
Speaking of which, how incredible are those graphics?
They're so good. I know, I don't know if we'll probably have them posted by the time that this is uploaded, right? I'd imagine
Yeah,
so.
I'm
Oh
thinking of
yeah. So
posting the first one tomorrow.
awesome. Yeah, so I mean, we got, I don't, you know more about it than I do. You just like told me about it and I was like, "Yes, very cool, Jesse. This sounds good. I love it."
Yeah, she killed it, and she sent 3 of those to me. I think within the hour. Like we talked on the
Damn.
phone. I only had the idea for like the one,
Uh-huh.
and then I just told her what the other 2 were about, and she just kind of ran with it. And they look nuts.
Yeah, they're
I
really
love
good.
them.
Especially knowing that she threw them together in like an hour. Holy shit.
I know.
But with that being said, we did have, I mean, I'm sure that people have noticed, we're sadly, unfortunately, missing a third member of our cast, our
We
valuable
are.
cast. Yeah. So that means that it's epic gamer boy time, okay? It's time to get all e-boy up in your shit,
Oh
okay? So
yeah.
get ready. Buckle down, everyone. But no, so we wanted to one thing that we've been kind of talking about was the new like console generation stuff. And
hmm
you seem to be very, you have a passionate stance on this one. So I'm curious to just get your hot spicy take on this, and then I'll just like promptly destroy you and we'll move on, of course.
uh, you know what? That's definitely how it's gonna go. But I'll act like that's not how it's gonna go and have some confidence.
Yeah,
Um,
of course. I'm not like really passionate about this generation. I'll get into that, but like I obviously have opinions on it. So, but yeah, you go first cuz you've been like really wanting to talk about this stuff.
yeah, so I'm really wrapped up in this next generation for the reason that I made the wrong choice on the last one and
What
got
was
an
your
Xbox
choice?
One.
Oh, oh, shame,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, shame.
bro.
No.
It's as bad as you think it is. It's I've played both as a
Mm,
kid, like growing up. I went back and forth,
mhm.
and like when you're a kid, like friends have different consoles, so when you sleep over their house or you go over, you kind of get the experience with both of them.
Oh yeah, dude, I was like Team Wii when I was like real young. That's like being Team Mountain Dew between like Pepsi and Coke. Like that was the dumbest fucking take that I could have had as a kid.
Okay, but I remember vividly one of the memories of my childhood is my dad walking through my uncle's front door with a
Mhm.
Wii in his hand around Christmas time, and it was an early Christmas gift. And that was, dude, I hold that memory dear to my heart still. I don't remember ever being as excited for a console than the Nintendo Wii.
I don't think is that, see, it's because it's funny you say that because it's the same here, and that's kind of where my like real take is with this generation. Is it genuinely depends on what kind of person you are and like what you're looking for in gaming, quotation marks, T trademark, because it's like everyone's gonna want something different. We don't live in 2013 anymore where like everyone's like angry on Reddit having like wars over what is the best console. Like it's kind of, we've kind of, I feel like we've moved past that, but maybe not. It really comes down to what you are looking for when you're gaming, because it's like the Wii was fantastic for like family gaming. It's like, are you kidding me? You
Hmm.
tell me you didn't go over someone's house who only owned a Wii and had a blast playing Wii bowling? Get the fuck out of here.
Oh,
Go the fuck home if you say you didn't, because that's a lie. That's a
oh, it is a lie.
dead lie. Wii bowling
I
was so sick.
we used to have tournaments on my neighborhood. Like we would all people would come over my house and we would have Wii bowling tournaments with brackets. Like
Damn.
it was an event. And I think that's what was so fun about the Wii, is while all of these consoles were really focusing on like multiplayer gaming and kind of gaming solo but connected through a network,
Mm-hmm.
we said no, we're gonna do it where it's like local, where you're actually
Yeah, like
playing.
local play. And they're still doing that. Like now. I mean, they're only recently getting multiplayer. Man, I will. The multiplayer on the Switch is literally the worst thing imaginable. But that's neither here nor there. The local gameplay is really fun.
Okay, so I actually just had my first experience with Switch multiplayer the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Me
Uh-huh.
and Will were playing Smash, and I had no
Oh.
idea how it worked, so I had to like figure it all out. And you're right, it's pretty trash.
Yeah, it's so bad.
The gameplay was okay. There were only a couple moments when it lagged like really stupid, which
Mm-hmm.
sucks in a game like Smash.
You can't have lag in Smash.
No. But the weirdest thing was the voice chat functionality. Do you know how it
Dude.
works?
Yes, it's so stupid. The app? You're talking about the app,
Yeah.
right? Like,
What
why?
is that?
Oh, do you want to chat with your friends? No, no, no. It's not built into the game seamlessly. You need to like go and download this app on your phone and like fucking plug in your headphone. It's so stupid. It's
It
so
is, and
dumb.
it would disconnect every time we
Hmm.
went into a game and came out of the game. And that like it was weird. Have you played Smash online?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've done it on
Yeah,
like
so you know.
I've done it with a couple of my friends, and like it gets insufferable really quickly because it's like it'll lag, and you're like, well, there I go. You know, like one
Yeah.
little mistake, and you're suddenly, oh, okay, I guess I fucked up. We're done now.
Yeah, so back to I made the wrong decision with the Xbox One. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm so excited about this next generation and why I'm putting so much emphasis on it, because never
Hmm.
again do I want to pick the wrong console because it
You
sucks.
you're not fucking up again.
No, the only
Yeah.
reason honestly I picked the Xbox One was because it was coming off the Xbox 360, and I got to say the Xbox 360, aside from the overheating issue, was pretty dope. I loved
It was
it.
banger. It was banger. Can't deny
The
it.
controller was sick. The games in that generation were pretty fun.
Hmm.
The Halo of that generation was the best. Like,
Oh yeah, of course.
was it Halo 3?
Halo 3 and Reach. Those were like they like defined a generation of angry gamers.
I never played Reach. I played 3 a lot, though.
Yeah, I only played them cuz I was a PlayStation 3 person, and then I got a
Hmm.
PS4. But all my friends, well not all, but most of them uh had 360, and that's where I would get to play Halo, which holy shit, it was so much fun. Like just can't deny it. It's Halo,
Yeah,
baby.
Halo's it's just fun.
Mhm.
It's easy. It's fun. Anyone can pick up and play it. I feel like I
Yeah.
could honestly teach anyone how to play Halo, and within like 2, 3 games, they'll kind of be able to play. Um, I didn't like PlayStation 3 that much. I had one. What did you think about it?
Like looking back, here's the thing. So, cuz I got a PS2. That was like my first thing that I got. And from that point on, I was like on the Sony train and I wasn't getting off just because I was so like into it. And a big part of it really was just like exclusives to me as well.
Yes.
So like I liked Ratchet and Clank, I liked God of War. I remember Demon Souls was a thing that was coming out. It's like Dark Souls and stuff, and I was like super into that. So all of those were PlayStation. So I had to. It was like, well, I don't really have any other option. You can literally only play them on like PlayStation consoles, so that's what I went with. Um, but like system spec wise, yeah, the Xbox 360 definitely just like stomped the yard um, in comparison to the PS3.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I had both of those consoles at the same time, and I
Mm,
always went for the 360.
yeah.
So then when it came down to PS4 or Xbox, I didn't even look into it. I just went for the Xbox, and it proved to be a horrible decision because that year was so obviously PS4.
Yeah.
I feel
Oh,
like
100%. 100%. It was like, and like, it's kind of crazy because there's been, it's like, I don't want to call it documentation. I'm not really sure, but like, it's been shown that like those big E3 reveals that like show the console for the first time have been known to almost like define whoever comes out the winner of those is like the winner for the next like 6 or 7 years. And when 360 came out, it was like, yo, we got Halo. We know what you want, okay? They were just like, we know what you want. You want Halo. You want all these AAA games. We're just going to throw them at you, and you're going to love us for it. And everyone was like, yes, we do. Sony comes out, and they're like, oh, so our console, it's like $150 more expensive than the like our competitor, which is already like horrible. Also on top of that, let's just show them a bunch of like shitty third party games that like no one cares about and that are all just like new IPs. Like there was some samurai game where you fight crabs or something. Like who's playing what is this? Like no one wants that shit. That doesn't sell a console, right? So everyone sees that and they're like, "Do I want the crab console or do I want Halo?" I wonder.
well, this brings us to current day too because have you been following up on the Xbox gameplay that just got
I,
released?
Yeah, I've been watching some stuff. It looks cool. Like it is a lot of third party stuff, but it does look really good. Why? What are your thoughts on the whole thing?
My thoughts on the whole thing. So, I kind of started following it right before this gameplay got released.
Mm-hmm.
And it was seriously 3 days. I don't know why I got so wrapped up in it because they're not being released till the end of the year. But over
Mm-hmm.
3 days, I was like, I need to make my decision. So I watched every review or like tech channel on YouTube that was talking about this.
You're
I
covering
was
your
looking up,
research bases.
yeah, I was looking up the specs, and Xbox looked like the clear cut winner for this year based on
Mm-hmm.
specs, based on what they released so far. So it looked like Xbox was in my eyes, going to be the ones to take it this year. And then 2 days after I kind of came up with that, they released this gameplay, and man, it looks trash. I don't even know how else to put it. It's like they did it, they were in such an optimal position that they should have just
Mm-hmm.
stayed quiet from that point on. But instead, they were like, let's hit them with one more thing to like really drive it home. And it did the
Mm-hmm.
complete opposite.
Everyone hated on it, I'm pretty sure, and I think it was because it was third party stuff. Like it's a game that no one gave a fuck about. Am I right?
It was
Like the stuff they showed.
yeah, it was a bunch of different games that they showed kind of previews of. And I will
Mm-hmm.
say, like, if you're looking at it in terms of like an art perspective, the detail is
Yeah.
insane. Like what they're going to be able to accomplish this generation developers is just unlike anything we've seen before. And you could kind of see that, I guess, in some of the clips,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, it was almost like okay.
Yeah, like what? Like what? Was this supposed to sell me on this, or like?
Yeah, it seemed like if they would have waited a few months, no one was asking for it. And PlayStation isn't releasing anything.
They released one thing. They just showed what the controller's gonna look like, and it's like,
Yes.
I mean, it like okay. Personally, I think it looks cool. There's some people that hate it. I'm down to like give it a try.
I think it looks
But
cool.
like
I don't know why people are hating it.
I think people just don't like it because it's like slowly getting closer and closer to like an Xbox 360 controller, so they're kind of like what's the difference sort of perspective. But I still like it. It's different enough that I'm like I want to try it, but I'm not sold on a console just because the controller's shit or cool.
Exactly. The controller isn't going to be the reason you get a console.
Yeah.
But
Oh, dude, the PS4 is a share button. That's why I bought it, man.
yeah, I do think the PlayStation controller is sweet though. And especially when you take into account the what's it called? Is it the adaptive triggers? That sounds sweet.
Adaptive triggers. Wait, on the PS5 one?
Yeah.
I actually don't know about this. What is it?
Ooh, so these triggers, instead of just like haptic feedback, PlayStation is trying to go a step beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And it still is haptic feedback. It's just their fancy way of saying it. But anyways, let's say you're playing Call of Duty and you run out of ammo while you're shooting, your right trigger will kick your finger off of it.
What?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's really cool.
I know.
That's actually really cool. I wonder though, like, now I'm starting to think of other, like, I might also hate it. I might love it and I might hate it. I genuinely couldn't tell you until I like feel it happen in my hand. I'll be able to be immediately like, that's the worst thing that's ever happened, or like, that's a really cool idea. I don't know, but that's sick. The fact that it picks up on that.
Yeah. So I think PlayStation definitely has the controller aspect in their ballpark. The Xbox controller is almost a carbon copy of the Xbox One controller.
Yeah, well, tech-wise, like, Xbox has always kind of, in a way, had to lag behind PlayStation in certain ways because, like, Sony actually owns the rights to, like, Blu-ray, and I'm sure, like, you know now, like, most games, if you buy them on a disc, are Blu-ray. So back before, I'm assuming most of the game purchases you make now are, like, all online, right? Like, do you still buy discs, like game discs, or no?
Yeah, I actually do.
Oh, really? Okay, because like, most of the time I just download games now, but um,
I'm a low key collector though. Like I really
yeah,
love having a
it's
physical.
nice having a disc. Yeah, yeah. But so like Sony owns the rights to like Blu-ray discs. So, one example of this was there's this game called Final Fantasy 13 that came out like way back. I think it was like 2011, maybe 2013 or something. And
Yep.
on PlayStation, it was like one disc. That was it. One Blu-ray disc. You put it into the PS3, done. Xbox had like 3 discs for this game because it couldn't fit on like a normal disc, and they didn't have the tech from Sony to put it into a 360 in order to like play a Blu-ray disc.
Wow,
So
I had no
now,
idea.
yeah, now they do though. Like the Xbox One, you can it uses Blu-ray, but they have that because they pay Sony to do it. But what I'm thinking is, I mean, like we're kind of like moving into a new era where like downloading is way easier because like way back when Xbox One launched, I remember it was literally the all like quote unquote always online shit that turned so many people off from the Xbox One because they were like, I don't want to have to always be online to play my games. I don't like what if I'm not online and I can't like play the games I downloaded? And it was like a huge deal. Like no one wanted that. And Sony was like they didn't even talk about that shit. They like talked about the games and whatever. And sure enough, PS4 like kind of won the day. But now, like I don't know, me personally, I don't give a shit. Like I'll download whatever. If I gotta download my games, I gotta download my games. That's just how it works. Um, so I feel like maybe Xbox One might have the edge a little bit now, since we live in a different time where they can literally be like, yeah, everything's downloaded onto it. There's no discs anymore. You know?
That's true. And on that point too, I think what Xbox is doing with this generation is definitely going to benefit that, because the way that they have expandable storage for this console, in my opinion, is way better than Sony. It's like little, like you remember the GameCube?
Yeah.
how you
Memory
had
sticks
those
and shit.
little memory sticks. It's the
Mm.
same idea. They already have them made, and they're gonna ship with the console, I think, or you can have them as an add-on with the console, but they're already there. With the PlayStation, they don't have anything. You can get
They don't even. We
expandable
don't even know what it
storage.
is. We
That's
don't even
true.
know what it is.
I guess yeah, you're right. So it would be the theory is that, or based on what they've released so far, it doesn't look as though they have any solution to it. Basically that you would
Mm-hmm.
just have to get an SSD yourself. And then how do you find an SSD that can keep up with this system? There's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. 100%. There's that's like to get into the deeper part of what I kind of wanted to talk about with this. Like so for me personally, I'm like a PC gamer. I don't. I mean, like I have consoles. I have a Switch. I have a PS4. But like if you ask me like where do I play most of my games, it's on like the computer because like most of them are there. I have a good computer anyway because like I have it for like editing and stuff. So it's no issue to run like any game off of it. And like all of the Xbox games are there too. So I'm not missing out on much. But I also understand that like, Joe Schmo with his like a family and he doesn't really give a shit about like building a PC and like he just wants to like uh turn on something simple and like play a game probably isn't going to have like a PC that can run all this. So like that's kind of like the importance of these consoles. Um so I guess the part that kind of worries me, or yeah, I guess worry, whatever, we'll go with that. Is that the way that they talk about the tech specs of this shit now is like there some of the stuff that has been mentioned, knowing it, like me knowing how expensive PC parts are and how expensive it can be to just build like a proper PC, they're like throwing out stuff that's upwards of like $200 just for like a certain processor, a certain hard drive that's going to be in some of these things. And I wonder like okay, obviously they are getting cheaper discounts on this because they're probably buying in bulk to build multiple consoles, right? But at the same time, it's like how are they going to market this to someone who's just buying this for a family like home console, what with all of this like expensive tech stuff in it? Like they, in order to turn profit, I feel like they would have to be like upwards of like $500 or $600, which is like an incredibly hard sell for a lot of people.
Yeah. And apparently, I don't know how true this is, but I read an article that said something of the sorts that Sony was actually having difficulty finding, I think it was the graphics card that they were using.
Really?
Like they couldn't actually find enough.
Enough of the graphics cards to like make their consoles? Is that what you mean, or
Yeah, because they have to make, I don't know, what would it be, hundreds of thousands of these things.
I guess. Yeah.
So they need all
Wow.
those graphics cards to like make them. And apparently they were having a tough time finding them, which might drive the cost
Wow.
up even more.
Well, yeah, if they gotta pay like upcharged versions of them and they're trying to turn profit, yeah. I mean like, and I think that's like the big thing that will really determine it is kind of the price point that they inevitably end up having to sell these consoles at. And it's why I'm like super why I'm not interested as much as I like at least as much as I was when I was younger in it, because I feel like they're just going to come out and they're going to be asking like 600, $700 and like I am paying that to run games that I can already play on PC, It's just like
Yeah.
they really got a lot of work to put in. And the other thing that I was kind of thinking about recently was um I think they also, a big thing that they need to do now is be more accommodating for like people who play games a little more passively. Cuz okay, back in the PS2, just to like clarify, back in the PS2 games, like that era, it was like being a gamer. It's like it's kind of a nerdy thing. Still is, but like it was like not it was almost like a less talked about thing. Now everybody plays games, right? Um,
Hmm.
and you see it across the board with like a lot of social media network or social media sites as well, where they're simplifying their like interface. They're simplifying how it works, and it's because there's like an older audience that has suddenly like flocked to it. Like Facebook used to be this really weird complex shit, and I don't know if you got this, but I got like it was like invited or something to the beta, which I'm assuming they just randomly picked people and they were like, hey, try out our new interface. And like I go into it and it's all like cartoony, it's floaty, it's goofy, it's very easy to understand. It's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you can like post this here, and it's like the text is big. It's like this is clearly a website that is designed for like a boomer audience to use. So like
Yes.
I think that the next console generation is definitely going to play into that, cuz personally I think a lot of people are in the same boat as at least how I feel, where it's like, why do I even care about these consoles anymore? It's like I can play them,
Mm-hmm.
all of these games uh on my PC, bar Nintendo games and like Sony exclusives, you know?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think anyone who cares, who's a gamer, let's say, or um, does intense gaming, is going to gravitate towards the PC. And Xbox
Mm,
and PlayStation both know that. So I think you're exactly right. I think this generation, just in terms of the software itself, is definitely going to cater an audience that may not be familiar with it.
yeah.
And that does, in a way, take the experience away from someone who is comfortable with it.
Yeah, and I think like the other thing too is, I mean, it sounds dumb to say, but it really is like so easy to build your own computer. And I think people our age are a lot more open to doing it, and going through that process, because you can even just do it online. You can order it online. You can get a computer that's like, it's going to be more powerful than any console that you're going to get for like the next like 4 or 5 years, and it's going to be able to run stuff better than any console would be able to. So it just like and I think a lot of people are kind of coming to that realization. So it's going to be interesting to see how um how Microsoft and how Sony are going to like combat that, because I feel like that's kind of a pretty obvious thought to most people our age, is like, why am I getting this shit, you know?
Yeah, the biggest, honestly, the only reason that I'm really sticking with consoles anymore is the portability aspect. Because
Yeah, you
I
can pick it
like,
up, take it with you.
yeah, I think if what's kept me from building out a PC is I wouldn't know where to put it. Do I put it in my room? Do
Mm.
I put it in the living room? Do I put it at my studio? I like being able to move my console from place to place, and experience it differently.
Yeah, and you know what? That's when I saw the Xbox, it's funny you say that, because that was the first thing that actually came to my mind as well. Is, do you remember how the GameCube was? It had a little handle on it, and like people
Mm-hmm.
never used it, but you could just like you fucking it had like two cords. You got your aux cord and you got your power cord, and you rolled that shit up. You bent the shit out of those wires because you had no idea how to roll that up, and then you just like wrapped your GameCube cables together, and you brought that shit over to your friend's house, and that was
Yeah.
it. That was all. It was like super easy. So I mean, like, not to say that it's gotten any more complicated than that, because like consoles, it's still just an HDMI cord and a power cord. But like when I look at that Xbox, it's just like a rectangle. It's just a little rectangle,
Yeah.
you know. It looks like those Macs,
It looks like what?
like the trash can Macs or whatever. I think that's what they're called. They're like little cylinders that just like, you
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's massive, and I can only imagine how heavy it is, and it how do you even pick that up? Like it's they're taking away the one thing that makes the console unique from the PC in my mind, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's going to steer a lot of people away because there's no portability with that Xbox. You're so right. It's massive. It's like half the size of a microwave. It's a little bit bigger than a toaster.
Wait, is it actually? I didn't know it was that big. I knew it was big, but I didn't know it was like comparable to a microwave or a toaster. That's
Okay,
fat.
maybe I'm wrong, but it's definitely bigger than a toaster. It's
Okay.
huge.
Oh my god. Well, and you know it's going to be heavy too, because there's no way that you get the tech that they're talking about in there, and it also be lightweight and portable. You know, like
No, yeah,
that
you're
was the
right.
big struggle with the Switch, was trying to make it so that they could fit like solid tech specs in there while also keeping it at a comfortable weight where you could like hold it with both hands like an iPad or some shit.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Nintendo is just the best. Full stop.
Full stop. Full stop. You don't even need to say more. That's it. They're the best.
For what Nintendo is, it's just if you want a fun, enjoyable gaming experience, I think they're the easiest one to pick up and play and just without a doubt have a good time.
You can vibe out with it so easily. So easily. It's just
Oh,
like
it's
you just
great.
pick it up. And it's also like cheap. Well, I don't know. I can't speak to how much the store price is, but I don't remember it being like an insanely pricey console. Um, but the I will say
No.
it upsets me how expensive the games are, man. Like I
Yes.
they're like 80 or $90 here in Canada. Like what?
Isn't that
Why?
just the norm though across the board now? I don't know if that's a Nintendo issue.
They are $10 more, and it's because of the cartridges.
Oh.
Like because the game is like there's almost little to no install. Like obviously if you're downloading it, it's gonna be more, I think. But I'm pretty sure I remember hearing that like it's more expensive because of the fact that like the game is mostly just on this cartridge.
I gotcha.
You ever licked one of those things, man?
Licked?
Yeah, you ever licked one of those cartridges?
Like with my tongue.
Yeah, dude, they have like they have like a lining on them to prevent kids from like eating them. So it's like a non-toxic lining thing or something. But it tastes horrible.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. If you so I mean like if you
I'm gonna
wanna
go home and lick
just throw
one.
just throwing it out there. Hey, everyone at home, go lick your go lick your Switch cartridges. It
Wow.
tastes bad,
So it's to prevent kids from continuing to lick it.
or well, from eating it and choking on it. It's like a choking
Yeah.
hazard thing. Yeah.
Wow. See?
Yep.
Nintendo's the best. They think of
Yeah,
everything.
dude. They're saving kids' lives out here. What's Sony doing? Upcharging me another $100 for their next console? Fucking probably.
Yeah. Honestly, to get back to that, I've kind of said everything. I think they're both it's an interesting generation to be watching, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's I hope that Sony starts to come out with more information because it's just frustrating. Xbox, like Microsoft, has so much content out there about their console, and they're being very transparent about it, which I love. And
Mm-hmm.
if Sony continues to like be as secretive as they are, I honestly think it might bite them in the ass because like I watched a video the other day of a YouTuber who went to Microsoft and they literally had all the components for the Xbox laid out and showed him how they built it, the reason behind the design, all the chips in it. And it was just
Wow.
interesting. Like they were being like, I don't know, very upfront about what this console is going to be. And I respect that.
No, that is definitely good. If I had to guess, I would think that it's like you said, like I think we can already kind of tell that Sony is just like behind because of things that they're probably trying to handle on their end. And speaking as someone who has literally no business and like advertising marketing experience, um, my professional opinion is I would think that they're probably waiting until a lot of like Xbox kind of reveals everything that they're doing and then doing like an all-in move, because maybe they think that I don't know, it's almost like one of those things where I think they might legitimately just be like, here's the console, and it'll just be like this mind-blowing thing that is an instant sell to anyone watching, because I feel like that's the only move left. They can't just come out in the same way that Xbox was and be like, okay, hey guys, so we're here with our new console, and it's got some pretty nice specs in it. Like everyone's already seen what the Xbox can kind of do, so I feel like they have to, they like have to just slam dunk on everything that Xbox is doing right now, where they just like roll up and be like, hey, what's up? Here's the console, you're buying it.
Oh my God. Xbox is like every musician out there, and Sony is
Mm-hmm.
Frank Ocean. That's how I think of it.
That's how you think of it.
You know,
That's a hell of an
just
analogy.
quiet for 4 years, and the man comes out with 2 albums, a full 500-page magazine, a short film,
Oh, but yeah, just
and
like here you
a
go,
festival leg, and merch on top of that.
and then goes back to nothing,
Yep,
just like
and
back
then
to.
and then just hides.
But yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like their only move is left, though, right? Like
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
right.
know, it just because like how, especially with how transparent Xbox has been, how do you how do you top that other than literally just showing? Like I feel like they just have to be like, so yeah, we have in our controller, it's just gonna suck you into the game and you're just be walking around. You like it has to be like that kind of level of sell where it's just like such a jump where you're like, wow, the technology is there, you know?
Yeah. You know what I was most upset about missing out on the PS4 with
What?
was that Spider-Man game. Did you ever play it?
Oh, I've I've always wanted to, but it does look like so much fun. Just like swinging around the city and shit.
Yeah.
It's in VR too. I'm pretty sure there's like a VR version that you can play, and you
Oh
like
my
literally
God.
are like in the perspective of Spider-Man just swinging around.
I need that.
Sorry, I was gonna say, have you ever done VR?
I did once, and it was for an escape room VR thing.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, no, I did it twice. I did it at a friend's house before too, but it was the PlayStation one, and it was kind of trash. But the escape room one that I did was like an actual VR setup, and it was pretty crazy, man.
Is it the bomb one?
No, it was like some horror one almost. Like at one point we were in this train and we were like fending off these giant spider monsters with like fireballs that were shooting out of our hands.
Uh.
That's all I remember. It was cool.
Like I've done a couple things in VR. I've done a it was like a fighter jet thing, which is really cool. It like low key made me a little sick, but totally worth it. Um, I'm trying to think what else. The Resident Evil game in VR. Holy shit, that is like that shit makes you feel scared.
Really, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think VR technology would be best if it was like if they kind of stuck to the idea of like a theme park with it almost, because I think it
Mm-hmm.
only really works if you fully immerse yourself in it. And I think it's going to be a long time before it gets to the point where that's like consumer tech. And even then, I don't know that it would be that good, anyways. I think they would have to dumb it down a lot. But I saw some videos of like companies who are doing VR experiences, and that looks cool.
Oh yeah, like the professionally made shit is insane. It's funny that we kind of end up on the VR topic again because we quickly kind of mentioned it in the last podcast about that game that I was telling you, VR chat, and
Yes.
it in the time that we recorded the last one, I was watching this video, and it was apparently there is this piece of tech that you can get, and it's like a vest that you put on. It's a like I think as it stands right now, it's a vest and an arm, like two armbands, and it has like little markers on it, like just for certain points on your chest and on your arms. And in certain games, if like there's like a touch based response in game, it translates that to like a real sensation in the armband.
Wow.
Yeah. So like if you're playing this VR chat game and like someone's like rubbing your arm or touching your chest or something, you just like feel that. So weird.
Wow. Did you see
I mean,
that
the
upload
implications
show?
are pretty obvious
Yes.
with how
I'm
you
not
could
even going to
use
go
that.
there. Did you see that upload show? Did I tell you about this show?
Oh, okay. I I saw the trailers for it. You mentioned it, but I've heard just mixed things and I haven't gotten around to watching it. So, no, but please explain cuz I'm genuinely curious.
So it's okay. I'll give it that rating. Like I think the production, like for us, being filmmakers, is it's not the best, and it kind of pulled me out of it a few times. But the
Mhm.
concept it pulls you in, and it kept me in the show. Like I watched the whole show in one night. Basically, it's about this future society where you can upload your consciousness to an afterlife, so you don't really have to. Well, you still die, but
Mhm.
it's a for sure way of an afterlife, because you don't have to question whether you go somewhere after you die. Your consciousness actually gets uploaded to like a virtual reality server.
Yeah. See, when I heard about it, I was like, man, this sounds just like they just watched one Black Mirror episode and they're like, man, have we got the fucking best idea ever? Let's take this whole episode and just make it a show.
You know what? That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Um, but it's kind of interesting. Like I don't know, the characters are really good, and it makes you think about the implications that would come with that,
Okay.
and
Like the
makes you
world's cool.
wonder.
You like the world in it.
I think the world's cool, the characters are really cool, but for the most part, it got me on this train of thought for the whole show that was almost like, is this the right path? Is this actually us creating an afterlife that isn't there? And this is our almost not destiny, but like we, this is how we experience an afterlife. And we've
Mhm.
cultivated technology and gotten it to the point where we can do this. And this is how we experience eternal life. Or are we escaping what the actual afterlife is through this thing? Does that make any sense?
No, it does make sense. Like I guess you could say it's both ways because like I don't whenever I think of the idea of us actually like realistically speaking being able to upload a consciousness to like some sort of online server, I don't genuinely think that that is me over there. Like I feel like that's just a copy of myself that or it like if it was a thing, it would just be a copy of myself and that whatever actually happens to me. Like we don't know if there's a soul or like what the hell happens when we like die if we're just like are do we is it just dark, you know, like who knows. So I think it is a in one part an escape because it's a way for us to like hope that we like it's I think it's a way to know it's a way to for us to like actually know what is to come. Like if we knew that we could like to you know you're dying and that you can just upload yourself somewhere, you know that once you pass on there's gonna be something of you that sticks around and isn't like going anywhere. So it's like at least you know that's I guess it sounds weird to call it your legacy, but like that's how you stick around. That's your permanence on this planet. But like currently as it stands, we have no answer. So I think it just acts as a like an answer more than anything else.
Exactly. And I guess the hypothetical, and it can't be answered, is
Mhm.
that the answer, and what our society has worked up to, and we like reached this level, or are we escaping our biology? You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure. Well, it is both, but I think one thing to jump off of that, are you okay? Do you find like like digital afterlife stuff to be almost like kind of haunting in a weird way.
Very much so.
Just to use a recent example, when Kobe passed recently, it was really weird opening Twitter and being like, "Oh, tweets you missed," and it's just like a recent tweet from Kobe that you just don't see, and it was literally like him a day ago. It's almost like etchings on a cave or some shit. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Like, I like to think of almost like futuristic societies, like after everything's just crumbled and we're in fucking there's sand pits everywhere, someone's like digging through garbage and they find like a hard drive with like all the backed up data of shit we posted on Facebook and Twitter, and just seeing all this stuff and like the weird ass stuff that got left behind.
That's our version of hieroglyphics.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking of hieroglyphics, I'm glad we're here because I really want to talk to you about the pyramids.
What a jump. Yo.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I'm glad we're here because I'm about to go off on pyramids.
I am. I really am.
Okay.
How much have you looked into pyramids?
Like, my knowledge on them probably extends to what I can remember from grade school history, where we learned slightly about them, and like the Mummy movies, and ancient alien bullshit. Which, I mean, like, come on, come on, that's it. That's all I know.
Okay, so I am no pyramid expert. Let me just say that before we get into this conversation. But I want.
Don't hold Jesse down to.
Yeah, please.
To pyramid takes.
No, I do want to read into more of them, and like maybe it'll be a recurring topic. Knowing me, it probably will because I'm so fascinated by them. But I made a comment last podcast about how I think the Egyptians and the Greeks were some of the closest human civilizations to get to understanding what the universe is. And after I read about these pyramids, I believe that even more so. Like, they basically, I mean, when you think of the pyramid, you think of what they look like current day, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
They, in this video, were showing, I watched a 45-minute documentary on them. They showed like a rendering of what they would have looked like in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like cut with laser precision. Like, they were incredible monuments. And they were human made, which is also insane. So just the actual structure of the pyramid itself is a marvel. Like, it's unbelievable to think that.
Aren't they literally considered a wonder of the world? Like, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure. Okay.
Yes, because the ancient civilization of Egypt is so far back in the history that it's all theory. It's all like us trying to understand their scripture and their hieroglyphics, so that we can sort of understand what their civilization was all about and what these pyramids meant. And we're still only probably at the tip of the iceberg, which is insane to think. So that alone, these structures are insane. But then when you get into the idea that the pyramid, which one is it? I think it's the Pyramid of Giza, is like precisely pointing to true north. Like, it is, I think they measured it and it's like a half of a degree off of true north.
Holy shit. I actually didn't know that.
And to think like, oh, okay, sure. But like, that is insane. You know how big these things are?
Mm-hmm.
That's no coincidence. You don't end up building a pyramid half a degree off true north.
Yeah, it was obviously intended,
Yes, so they had intention on that front. And then Nikola Tesla was like super interested in the pyramids, and he built a lot of his physics off of the pyramids. and the idea that 3, 6, and 9 are the most pure numbers in the universe. And that, bro, I'm not even going to get into that because I don't understand physics, and I'm not going to try and sit here.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm thinking like, for this 45-minute documentary that Jesse watched, and then just like smash cuts to you watching like a long ass Alex Jones video, like breaking down the pyramids.
Honestly, I wish I understood physics more because I was dumbfounded by it. But they explained that a lot of his findings came from his study on the pyramids. And these things, I forget what the fraction is. I really should have read up on this before this talk, but I didn't know we were getting here. But
you brought us here. You brought us into
I know,
the
I really
pyramids.
did. They, in a nutshell, I'll read up on it and I'll like become an expert, and then
Dude,
I'll
it's
talk
gonna be
about
another
this more.
bit. We got Beyond Blasted with Jesse, and then we're gonna have Pyramid Talk with Jesse. What, like the whole? You gotta leave room for other segments, Jesse.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll just say this one thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
The actual measurement of the base of these pyramids and the height of these pyramids actually explains the dimensions of the planet. Like if you take the measurements of the base of a pyramid, like the Pyramid of Giza, and I think you multiply it, or it's a fraction of like, what is it? 432,000. It's the exact size of our planet. And then if you take the height of the pyramid and do it by that same number, it's the exact length between the North Pole and the South Pole.
Like what's the word? Not circumference.
The circumference.
Yeah. Circumference or diameter? It's like circumference?
You know what? It might be diameter.
Because diameter would
diameter.
assume straight through the core or whatever.
Yes. I think it's diameter.
Not to like force you to have a conclusion or anything. I'm just curious, like, are you just like super fascinated by it, or was there like a takeaway that you had from it?
Yeah, the takeaway I had from it was that
Egyptians are fucking sick, bro.
Yeah, that. But also, they had a different way. It's almost like they had an understanding. And they did. If you look at their scripture, here's another point too. Instead of getting historians to read their scripture, they get mathematicians. Because a lot of their belief and what they built their civilization off of was math. Because if you think about it, math is like one of, other than like biology and physics and whatever else, but physics is math, the most pure law of the universe.
Yeah.
You can't, 2 + 2 is 4, no matter where you are.
Across the board.
Yeah, and then when you think of algorithms and complex formulas, it still holds true. No matter where you are in the world, no matter what nationality you are, no matter what belief system you're from, math is math. So there's a truth in math, which is really interesting. It's not subjective, and you can't think about math subjectively. But the takeaway I got was that they understood that their civilization was going to get wiped out. And you can see it in their scripture. They predicted that there was going to be a flood that wiped them out, that inevitably did. And they had the idea that we should be doing something that gets the next human civilization a step ahead of where we were when we started. And so what they did was they created these pyramids to tell the next civilization these laws of the universe that they have come to understand, where true north is. The idea that our planet is a globe, and here's the dimensions of it. And this is like me, stoner Jesse, understanding these things. So to someone who actually gets what's going on, I got to look more into it so I can talk about it more, but I feel like they were almost setting up the next civilization to be in a better place so that they could propel their civilization faster.
I see. So you're almost like saying, is that what we're kind of doing without even knowing it right now, with like everything going on technologically speaking?
No.
No. Okay, well then that's what I'm saying because it sounds smart.
I think that's a way of looking at it 100%. I think
Yeah.
that is, but yeah, I think the Egyptians were brilliant. I think their civilization was one of a kind when you look
Mhm.
at the history of the world and when you look at what we're doing currently. I don't really see anyone thinking about, okay, our civilization is going to get wiped out. No matter what, like it could be anything. You don't have to predict it. You don't have to say it's going to be a meteor. You don't have to say it's going to be a nuke or the oceans are going to rise and we're going to be flooded. But just the idea that our civilization is going to cease to exist. So what are we going to do for the next one?
I don't think that no one's concerned with uh how the human race could get wiped out again, but I think it's that we live in a different time where there needs to be some sort of definitive proof that something is going to happen and that like we will actually disappear, because I think we live in a little bit of a more hopeful time. Like, it's entirely possible that, hey, maybe before something slams into Earth and destroys us all, we might be able to like get off this planet and go somewhere else, or maybe we'll be able to actually do something about global warming and like prevent it from like inevitably heating or cooling the planet to a point where life isn't sustainable. Um, I can't speak to anything about like the Egyptians' predictions and why they actually like if what you said is like actually true with the whole them predicting the flood. I don't know. But I would assume that they probably had some sort of method for being able to predict that, and knowing like what was coming. I don't know what it would be though, but we kind of have those methods currently. Like we can detect like earthquakes and like tornadoes and storms, right? So I think it might just come from the fact that we can weather these storms better than more ancient civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have like did you have anything more on the pyramids at all or no?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sitting here just like thinking about them.
You're just infatuated with the pyramids. It's been good pyramid talk with Jesse.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to Egypt when this is all said and done. I
Um,
really want to like be in the presence of these things. I feel like there's something there, man.
there's something there. He's gonna get there, and the aliens are gonna show up and pick you up.
Oh, please. I'm
Oh
gonna have a
fuck.
better answer for the next podcast.
Yeah, everyone listening is probably just like, he just brought up the pyramids and like talked about dimensions and stuff, and then like that was the end of it.
Oh, dude. You know Aya, right?
Yeah.
We should get her on to talk about those, to talk about the pyramids and Egyptian history.
I really hope she comes on and is just like, whatever, they're fine, no biggie. Just like destroys like the entire hype about them, just like on podcast. Like, oh, she's gonna be able to talk so much about it, and then she comes on and is just like, yeah, I mean they're cool. Like that's it.
I don't
But
know.
no,
She would actually have a lot of information.
oh,
She's
100%. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
yeah.
Go book her for the pyramid segment.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to message her. I remember I went to the DIA with her and Milana once, and she gave us a tour of the Egyptian section in the DIA, and it was so cool. It was such a cool experience because I feel like I walk through the DIA and I'm just like, oh, that looks cool. That looks pretty. Like, I don't know.
Dude,
I'm
I do
like,
that in every museum, man. I feel like such a fucking idiot. I have to like tell myself, stop and read, Brandon. You should better yourself.
yeah,
Like I'll be
it's
like,
so true.
figurine cool.
Yeah.
Like it's like, or you could read the text that they provided for you since you paid to be here, you fucking idiot.
It's so true. I
Hmm.
feel like such a primate sometimes.
Yeah, dude, in the morning, oh, I do it all the time. Big reason why I wanted this to be a nighttime podcast is because I literally can't talk in the morning, man.
Oh my god.
My brain just doesn't operate. But yeah, I get what you mean. Sometimes the lizard brain just kicks in, and you just can't help it.
I've been thinking about the lizard people a lot since you brought it up
Oh, dude,
last week or whenever
I
it
can
was.
break down the lizard people for you so fucking hard. I know all about them. What do you want to know?
Bro, let's finish the podcast off with lizard people. Hit me.
All right. Well, so throw a question. Let's what do you want to know about the lizard people? I can tell you certain people who are lizard people.
Really?
Yeah, like there's like I mean pretty much every politician is a lizard person, I'm pretty sure. Under
Okay.
this whole yeah, so like Obama, uh Trump's a lizard, like everyone's a lizard person. Like if you're a politician, you're a lizard person. It's just like this is just how it goes, man. These are the rules.
Oh
For all
my
okay,
god.
so I don't get in any like fucking trouble. I don't believe this absolutely insane conspiracy theory. I'm literally memeing so that people don't be like, does he believe in lizard people? I don't know. But yeah.
Okay, I have a hard time believing Barack Obama is a lizard.
Oh,
I
oh,
love that man.
listen. He's a lizard person, okay? I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, Jesse, but listen. Do you know okay,
My
I
heart is
actually
breaking. Can you
one
hear
thing
it?
I should tell you, they have ways to tell of who is and isn't. So a big thing, and you're gonna love this one because it's really funny. So you know how when you take a picture and like the shutter speed or something might be like a little bit off. So if they're talking with their hands or if they blink when the photo is taken, it will like blend together them blinking and their eyes being open, or like it'll blur their hands, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is obvious shit to anyone who's ever taken a photography class in their life, to anyone who's, like, in film, or to anyone who even has basic understandings of how cameras operate. Um,
Yeah.
but so they see that, and they look at it and are like, oh, no, 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 that's their second eyelids closing or some shit. Or that's that's the thing, they wave around their hands a lot because they're trying to cover up the fact that they have six fingers or something like that.
Oh my god. And what? And what? We can't see it, but cameras can. Is that the
Yup, you
point?
got it. You got it. So when the picture's taken and it's blurred, you're able to count all six fingers.
Oh my
Ludicrous.
god.
Yes. And okay, you'll bring it up to them. You can be like, "No, no, no, it's a blur." And they'll be like, "No, no, no, it's actually a real thing." And like I've literally gone through it with this person where I like take a picture of my own fucking hand where I blur the photo and I'm like, look, I literally did it with myself. You can count my fingers right here. I have five. And they're like, no, it's a blur. Like,
Oh.
you can't win, dude. You literally can't win. It's just
Oh.
they pick and choose like the science that they want to believe. It's insane. Like it's the same issue with like flat earth people.
Bro, I'm
Um
so happy you just brought that up.
yeah,
That's right where I was about to go.
there's a documentary on Netflix. I hope it's still there. I watched it about a year ago and it was really really well done because it breaks down how and like a lot of the people that believe this stuff, they are act like it's very easy to just be like these are really stupid people, but they are not stupid. Like a lot of them are actually like smart human beings, but like they just they have this really warped way of learning, and it's like almost corrupted feels like a really strong word to use, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's like corrupted their way of like thinking logically about certain things. So like
Mm-hmm.
in this documentary they'll go over how it's like they oh, we've got this device that with it, if we test these certain numbers, we'll be able to tell that whether or not the earth is definitively flat or definitively round. And then they'll like do the test and it like obviously comes out, yeah dude, the earth's round. And they'll be like, oh well, some stuff came out that the mechanism was broken or it wasn't calibrated properly, so we just threw the test away.
Oh,
Yeah,
you can't
it
do that.
it's insane. But yeah, it's like that kind of stuff, man. It's
Me and my mom
insane.
were just talking about the flat Earth people today
Yeah, the flat Earth
because
is like the vanilla
she
one
I know,
in
but
comparison.
she got really wrapped up in it for like a week.
Like being fascinated by it, or
She was fascinated by it. She didn't believe it,
yeah.
but she was kind of at the point where she was coming out of her Christian faith a little
Okay.
bit, and she was just kind of looking for any other belief system that wasn't Christian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To just to see like, okay, there's other ways to think about the world. So she gravitated towards flat Earth society because it was the most outlandish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just
And
like
we were
really
just,
wild.
yeah, we were laughing about it. And she brought up that one of their main points is that they flatten the Earth out and show flight patterns and vessel patterns. And their point is that it never goes off the right or left side to get to the other point. And it's like, that's because you flattened the Earth on a map.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like if you flatten the Earth out for a map, obviously on the flight paths, it's never going to like go left or right.
No, you just flattened it.
Yeah.
Like it can't possibly. If you take that flattened perspective, put it
Mhm.
on a globe, there you go. We have a globe now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, they have a whole like array of different systems that they use to like there's like the belief about the ice wall and shit. There's even like
What's that?
infighting for these people. Yeah, so they have there's like a sect of people that believe in like the ice wall where it's essentially there's some shit beyond the edges of the flat earth that we don't know about. And if you can get over that ice wall, you'll see, I don't know, maybe I don't know what they believe, but there's some that believe in the ice wall, and then there's others that think we're like a disc, and the edge is just like a waterfall that you just fall off at the edge. Um, and like they'll get into like some heated ass arguments between that shit.
Oh, I know. I'm sitting here, man, honestly, like hoping to God no one who is a flat earther listens to this
They'll just
because
we just get an
we are going to
army of
get
people.
hunted down.
Honestly, I feel like most of them probably already know that they're kind of like the butt end of
Every joke.
of conspiracy theory jokes. I don't know. I mean, like that's what I mean is they're also like they're the easiest to get into
Mhm.
because I think the other thing is it's largely a harmless conspiracy theory depending on how deep you go, you know?
Yeah, I think there's those that believe though that there's like some grand conspiracy about the whole thing that like someone somewhere is in control of keeping this information from us, and I think that's damaging.
Oh yeah, that shit can get dangerous. But that's what I mean is I think it hooks it's the hook of that it's just such a simple thing to fall down into and feel like it's just like, oh, that feels right, and like it's not like anyone's like hurting anybody or whatever. But like
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's the big reasoning why. Because then I mean, like, then there's the other conspiracies about like, oh, did we land on the moon and all that other shit, you know?
Yeah, my favorite is Neil deGrasse Tyson being asked about flat Earth
Oh yeah,
society.
it's amazing. I love people's fucking what a bob is a flat earther. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, you're
Like
right.
yeah,
He
there's like
is.
a bunch of famous people that are flat earthers. It's crazy.
Yes.
Have you? There's also there's like the clone conspiracy theories that are like apparently there's people that believe like I want to say it's Avril Lavigne or maybe Ashley Tisdale. I can't remember, but there's people that think that like she died and then now they have a clone of her and they like are replacing her some
Oh
shit.
my
It's
God.
wild. And there's like so many different celebrities that they believe this for. I don't know.
Wow. If you were one of those people, though, wouldn't you like come out and say, guys, come on? Like, or would you just use it as like free press?
I think that some of them have talked about it before, but I feel like it's one of those things where you you can't just address it every time it gets brought up, right?
That's true. And the people who believe it would also be like, well, yeah, that's exactly what a clone would say.
Of course,
You know?
it comes back to the deliberate choice of what is like the science that I support and what is the science that I deny. To use the flat Earth as another like as an example, there too is like they don't believe in gravity the way that we believe in gravity. They think that the Earth is constantly moving upwards really fucking fast through space, and that the force of it moving upwards is keeping us bolted down to the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, that's their version of gravity. So you can't even, like, how do you argue scientifically with someone that you can't even agree with on, like, the simple concept of how fucking gravity works?
You're
It's like
right.
this
You
person would
can't.
go and find Isaac Newton and, like, spit on him.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. Like it's impossible to really even convince these people because they're so like locked in their ways. I don't know. It's a mess.
I would love to read into it, but I just can't.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that I dive in. I go deep. Like it's so fascinating to me. I love just seeing how different people think because it's just
Yeah.
it I don't know, it's just so backwards, I guess. And it's really interesting seeing them like throw around proper scientific equations to figure stuff out, and you're like, wow, you got a brain in there, but you're just choosing to use it in a really fucking dumb way. Like, why?
Yeah. No, I'm with you, though. I do think that is definitely what fascinates me about conspiracy theories in general across the board. Just that we can all think about stuff wildly and vastly different from each other. And that there's groups of people that buy into that thought. That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's even more prevalent today more than ever because of like how easily connected we are now.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this in a podcast before, so I'll repeat it here because I don't want to I don't want to get copyrighted or someone call me out for stealing someone else's thing. But like way back in the new like there would only be like a newspaper, right? So what you got printed in the news, that was the news, and like anything else just wasn't like it just wasn't true. Like it's like you heard what was true in the fucking newspaper or like word of mouth from some like friend of yours, you know? And if he said some dumb shit, you would be like, dude, that's you just said some stupid stuff there. I'm like gonna avoid you now. But now, um, if you believe some really wacky crazy stuff, you can just like open up an like any internet browser and search for that thing, and you're going to find a whole community of people who will not only like support that but pull you in deeper into like the belief system of that.
Mm-hmm.
You no longer have to get your ideas challenged, right? You no longer have to go outside and like say like if you saw some dude on the street talking about like flat earth shit, you'd call him insane. But like
Yeah.
on like some flat earth forum, he's like a like groundbreaking genius.
Yeah. It's so true. Have you heard about the idea of the filter bubble?
I think so. I feel like I've in some like media class I took in school probably, but like
Yeah.
I can't remember, so
Yeah.
go over it anyway.
That's exactly it. It's honestly pretty much exactly what you just explained. Um, it's the idea that through social media technology, we've created these filter bubbles that,
To support stuff that we already
yeah,
believe in.
yeah, that's dangerous. I think
Yeah.
that's some rocky terrain.
Well, especially for people who are already like kind of vulnerable to that stuff, you know?
Exactly. I think there's just some. This is going to sound weird and maybe controversial, but there's some thought that you probably just shouldn't pay any mind to. And these filter bubbles
Yeah.
perpetuate those thoughts, you know? And I'm not calling
No, it's
anyone out.
definitely true.
I'm not saying it's about flat earth people. But maybe low
I'll
key.
say it is.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I'll be the controversial one on this
I'm trying to watch my tongue here.
No, I know. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's that idea, and basically just the negative implications that that has across the board. I mean, you can look at the 2016 election was a prime example of people getting lost in filter bubbles. And, you know, it brings up the whole history of what media has been. And you kind of touched on it too, about back in the day when it was like print media and the idea of propaganda, and you got your news from this certain source. And there was such a problem with that because that source could be biased and you had no idea. And that's how propaganda got perpetuated so much. And then we had this age of the internet, the golden era, let's say, where
It's like the reverse now.
yeah, where we've almost, it's like we've gone in and then back out again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like, because with the newspaper, it was like, if we were to travel back in time right now and we walk out and we find someone reading the newspaper and we'd be like, why do you trust this source? And he would look at you and be like, because it's the newspaper, you fucking idiot. Like, obviously I trust it, you know?
Exactly.
It's like, it's the official source that you would like go to. It became official because of the fact that like you knew how much work went into it. But now you can be official just by being very charismatic. Like, someone could listen to this podcast and just like hear what I'm saying and be like, wow, he talks very confidently about all the stuff that he is saying. He must have all this knowledge about other things, you know?
Yeah. You could be verified on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that's the big one, right? It's like, oh, this person's verified on Twitter. They must be some sort of news source, something that I can at least trust. They're not stupid.
But we went through this era where it was free speech and kind of nice, and now we've found our human way of like making such a horrible thing out of this beautiful thing. You know?
Ain't it the truth?
Like,
ain't it the human way?
It is the human way. We made this beautiful thing where we can all share expression. And now it's just creating more problems again that we were trying to avoid in the first place.
I mean, and the implications are everywhere too, especially like when you look at like children's quote unquote content on like YouTube. It's like, you know, you have parents that are from newspaper generation that are like, oh yeah, we'll put on YouTube Kids for our son so he can watch while we just go and like do our yard work or work around the house, and then you come back and it's Jake Paul on there and he's like doing some weird shit, you know?
Anyone who's like interested in this topic too, echo chambers is another theory to look into. Have you heard about that one?
Oh yeah, that's another. you keep throwing out the media terms that,
I do.
like, I think we both, from like all the classes we took.
Yeah. You know what? I miss those classes so much, man.
Yeah, they were actually like really nice and like informative too, honestly.
Yeah, like I don't know, when we were in those classes and like learning about the theory of media, I felt like so connected to it. Like I really understood it. And I think there's something about theory that like really solidifies shit.
No, for sure.
I don't even
there we
know.
go. That's the. And now we've also solidified ourselves as being super fake deep. No.
Honestly, we were doing good. We were
so-
doing good up until that point right there.
Oh yeah, no, we were not doing good. I had some fucking takes already that were like, But no, I also find it funny because like you can use those very terms and the knowledge that you gain from them for nefarious purposes as well, you know? It's like having that knowledge on its own, it can be to your benefit or it could be to your deficit, because like someone could know that stuff and then find a way to manipulate it to lead people in a certain direction. I mean, that's what we see with that's why like Facebook has, I don't know if you've seen it, but like they literally have a built-in fact checker now because of that very issue.
Oh yeah. You know what's funny is I watched the Mark Zuckerberg in front of Congress hearing.
Oh, Android time, big Android boy.
I didn't see that part. I
No,
watched.
it's just like when he's sipping water and shit, and he
Oh
looks
yeah.
like he just looks like a robot sitting there.
Oh my god, I know. I like on the subject of Mark Zuckerberg, like I ended up going down a rabbit hole cuz I watched The Social Network and then
Uh-huh.
I found the Congress thing and then I watched just like a random interview with him and I didn't watch the whole interview. It was like an hour and a half long, but I noticed within the first 5 minutes that he wasn't sitting in the chair he was sitting in. He was kind of like
Wait, what?
so so he was like hovering on it.
Oh, like he was like like squatting, like he didn't want to like
Yeah.
touch the chair.
Yeah, he never just like
Really?
released his body. He's so tense. He is so tense. So I like
Mm.
skipped through the whole video and never once did he move. The only time he moved was to like pivot his arm to grab his glass of water and reach it up to his mouth and pivot it back down. Like that was
I
it.
put the sustenance in my mouth now.
Honestly.
Yeah, that whole thing is so fascinating to me, purely based on the fact that like it shows how little the people, and I feel like because it's that thing happened like a while ago, so I'm sure everyone's already seen it or talked about it, but either
Yeah.
way it shows how little the like people in charge who are making like decisions on like the internet's future, how little knowledge they have on any of it.
Oh
Like
my
the people
god,
who are asking
yes.
him the questions, they're like so my granddaughter, she was looking at pictures of horses, and then virus got her through the ad, and then so what are you doing about that there, Marky boy? And it's like what, like this is the dude who has been manipulating like how politics have been moving for like years, and you're gonna ask him what you're like why your granddaughter has a fucking virus on her iPad? Like, what are you doing? Like,
It's so true. That's the exact thought I had watching that whole thing. Like, who are these people? Like, really? And I
yeah,
honestly just felt bad for the man that he had to sit there and, like, it's like the equivalent
I don't know.
of
I don't feel
me,
that bad for Mark Zuckerberg, but either way, go on.
bro, it's the equivalent of us explaining to our parents how to use their phone. Like,
Okay, in that case, it's true. Yeah, in that moment, yeah, he's literally sitting there like explaining how tech works to them. How do I
yes,
open PDF?
yeah. And I just felt so bad for him because you know what? That Congress hearing could have been something that he could have really brought up some good points and also could have been insightful for the general public. But instead, we have these old ass people up there that are asking him the dumbest of dumb questions. Like there
Yeah,
was,
and well, because he also had a lot to fucking answer for too. Like there was things that like
yes,
he just now got away with because like no one asked the actual important questions that
exactly.
tons of people were wondering.
Yep. I think there was one question that just blew me out of the park and I was dying. Um this guy was angry at him, like one of the congressmen.
Oh, I know the guy. I know
And
the guy
yeah,
too.
and he was talking about the idea that Mark Zuckerberg wanted to, if people didn't want to see ads on Facebook, then they were going to have to pay for the service, which only makes sense. Like if you don't want to see an ad on a free service, you're probably going to have to pay for that service, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That just connects. I don't know where the logic like falls short on that idea, but that seems
To
to
anyone under the age of 30, or even hell, I'll even say 40. I feel like that's like an obvious fucking thing to you, like to
yeah.
anyone.
Yeah. I think so too. I think that's obvious to honestly, man, any
Most
living
people. I feel
person.
like most people.
Yeah. Um and he was just drilling him about it. And like it got to the point where this congressman was just bringing up things that were so unrelated to that point and making Mark Zuckerberg out to be this like demon that didn't care about children, and he's like poisoning youth. And I'm like, what? Because the man wants to like make money off this service. I don't get it.
I will say, like, Facebook has, at least in over the past year, it feels like they've improved a little bit. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, the memes are still just amazing. I like Mark Zuckerberg memes. I hope they never stop.
Yeah. And I also want to point out that Facebook is a platform, and it's what people do on that platform that makes it what it is. So yes, I think that Facebook as a company has an obligation to, at this point, because of how big Facebook is, weed out some of the ludicrousy, I guess, that's on it.
Yeah, the less than savory aspects of it.
Yes, I think they do have an obligation to that. But I also, if we're talking about Facebook, think that the users have an obligation to that as well. And you can't...
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't put all the weight on his shoulders or Facebook's shoulders. If people want to go on Facebook and put something stupid up there, like what can the man do about it?
Go find this man, Mark. Hunt him down. Get your digital pitchfork ready. We're going to go find him.
Right?
Yeah.
It's weird. They're putting him on a very weird pedestal. And
I think people do that with a lot of CEOs, and we're seeing the repercussions of it with Elon Musk currently.
Definitely.
Because, like, he's on Twitter, not, like, just to be really quick about it, he's on Twitter, like, really pushing for, like, reopening Tesla and stuff. There's a lot of people that take his word as, like, gospel. And, like, it's like the man is an absolute genius when it comes to, like, many different tech things. But it's, like, to say that he's an expert on, like, you know, the data analysis of when we should probably be treating this, or just like, okay, it's good to open up factories again. It's like he's probably not that well versed in it, at least not to the degree like a medical professional is, you know.
That's exactly it.
Point is, don't put CEOs on pedestals. They're just people.
Yeah, don't put anyone on a pedestal in general.
Yeah,
that's
live
such
your
a
life, man.
That's like, honestly, to put someone
live
on
your
a
life, man.
To put someone on a pedestal is, I gotta say, one of the worst things you can do to another human being.
You're setting yourself up to be disappointed.
Yep.
Because guess what? We're all terrible.
And you're setting them up for failure too.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not gonna live up to it, so just give up.
Just give. There we go. The message of today. Just give up. We're all terrible. The pyramids are pretty cool, but we're never gonna live up to anything like that again. We're all gonna perish without leaving anything behind, and that's about it.
Wow. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast, folks.
No, but it's definitely just something like to keep in mind, because I catch myself doing it every once in a while too. I think everyone kind of like, you root for someone, you like something that someone does, and you kind of like put them on a holier than thou level. It's just like, ain't healthy, man. It ain't healthy. On that note, though, I do think this is a good spot to conclude our little podcast.
I agree.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. This was a really good episode. I hope, at least as far as I'm concerned. If you don't like it, I mean, like, fuck you, whatever.
If they don't like it, they're not here.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't listen this far. You did, so thank you. It was really cool of you. And thank you again for listening. This was a good time. Jesse, do you have any closing thoughts?
Just reiterate the same thing you said. Thank you very much for listening.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited to get back on this with Mackenzie. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm going to challenge ourselves. We can't bring up conspiracy theories again. We've done it twice now, I think.
Brandon.
It's just so easy. Oh, they're so fucking... Oh, my God. But we're not gonna unless there's a demand.
What will this podcast be if it weren't for conspiracy theories?
That's true. I gotta find a way to just incorporate it into every single one.
Can we make this podcast a conspiracy theory? Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and have a good night or a good morning. Bye bye.